Hi, and welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast and commentary about VR gaming, VR news, VR hardware, and VR reviews. I'm your host, Nick Lane, and with me is Justin Davis. What's going on, Justin?
Hey, Nick, just the same old, playing tons of games.
Nice. I'm looking at our show notes that we were entering today, and you are definitely playing a ton of games, which I'm looking forward to getting to. So this is episode 19. It's February 1st, and it's our first podcast of 2021. So why don't you give me a recap of what you've been playing and what you've been up to since our late December show that we had?
Okay, since our last show, there was a Steam sale, maybe like a winter sale. So then when that happens, I usually end up buying games that, like, for whatever reason, I wasn't that interested in. But then they have a sale price, and then I'm like, all right, that's a low enough price. So I got Totally Baseball, Abode 2, Downstream VR Whitewater Kayaking, Go for Launch Mercury, Princess Guard, Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. So all of those are on sale, and so I played through Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. That was like 2 hours. That was pretty good, actually. That's by Bethesda, but it was only like 2 hours. So I don't know. Princess Guard was just a joke buy for like $250. It's a porn game that if you want a good laugh, you could get that. Totally Baseball is the only like actual game in VR where you can actually play baseball, like a real game of baseball that I know of. And so if you're into baseball, Abode 2 is an escape the room game. That was pretty good. The kayaking game, that's the only kayaking game I know of where it's just straight kayaking. And that was, pretty good. Go for Launch Mercury was like a space sim, like the Mercury, space launch, and felt really old. So like the controls were like really old and like Vive ones, and I wouldn't recommend that. So some other stuff. Eye of the Temple. Remember Eye of the Temple First Steps, Nick?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool kind of room scale, clever demo that you told me about and I played a little bit of.
Yeah, I talked to the developer, and he let me become a tester. So I've been testing Eye of the Temple, the full version, and I'm very impressed with it. So, I've finished it and, given him my thoughts, and, and that's going to come out, sometime later this year, maybe this spring. But that is a really cool game. So then I also played Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That's a flat game, but I played with Vorpex. That game's awesome. That's a great platformer. And the original is too, which is Ori and the Blind Forest. So then Ven VR Adventure just came out, and I'm going to talk about that later. That's a platformer also. Then I played Pagan Peak, which you're going to talk about. And then I played today I Expect You to Die, which we're also going to talk about because there was a mission in it, like an update that I missed. So I wanted to try that. So that's
nice, man. You've been busy. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've heard about half of these games.
Yeah.
So you have sort of this endless appetite for devouring VR. Yeah. I feel like when I first got into VR back in December 2017, I had this endless appetite, but now it's been really, I have like a low tolerance for just kind of bare bones, kind of janky, kind of almost like, I don't know, tech demo games. I think, again, this is the Half-Life Alyx effect and also time in VR that has just ruined that. So I really appreciate that you'll still kind of play whatever is, and it's not like you play every game, but you do have a wide range of games that you're willing to dive into and check out. And to your credit, I think that's a good thing because I'm sure I'm going to miss some good ones or some hidden gems out there. So I'm always glad to connect with you and talk about this. Before I move on to kind of what I've been doing in the last month in terms of VR gaming, are there any games on that list that you think people should definitely check out? Like any gems in there?
Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, I wouldn't say it's a gem, and it was only 2 hours long, but that one was pretty cool. Eye of the Temple is a major gem, but that's not out yet. But check out the demo. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's a flat game that you would have to play with Vorpex for VR, but even in just a regular 2D, check that out. I think it's awesome. Ven VR Adventure, I'll talk about that later, but yeah, that's worth checking out. And I Expect You to Die, definitely. If you like baseball, Totally Baseball, I would say, yeah, probably. But otherwise, no. Like it's a little bit too rough around the edges. And the kayaking game, if you're into kayaking, if you're into that sort of thing, then yeah. But the rest of this stuff, nah.
Okay,
I don't
good
think so.
good to know. The Eye of the Temple game, is that something that's going to be available on the Quest, or are we talking just PC?
I've only heard PC. I even brought up the Quest to him, but I don't think I got any sort of response about it. So I think it's only PC.
So I was definitely impressed with that, and we talked about it on maybe several episodes ago. And again, that uses it's like room scale, but it's very clever. So you can kind
Yeah.
of stay in a small space, but still feel like you're walking or moving around. Extremely clever. I remember I got to a point where it started kind of boosting me up on heights, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty. It was pretty intense for me. Not that I can't power through, but it was definitely impressive, and I can see why some people are gonna. I can see the promise in the demo, and I'm sure based on what you're telling me, it sounds like it sounds like it's going to be a good game. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. When you played the full game, do you know how long it is? Did you get to the end of it? Do you have any sense, or are you not able to talk about that?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Fair enough. All right, so
No.
we'll look forward to that when that comes out. We'll keep it on everybody's radar. In the last month, I have not dived into the sales like I normally do because usually when there were VR sales in the past, I would just get all these games and then I would never end up playing it.
Yeah.
Essentially, what would happen because I was like, oh, I'll grab this game on sale. It's not a game that I was not gonna, I was normally gonna get, but it's hey, it's half off, so I'm sure I'll get to it sometime. And then I have this long list of games I haven't tackled, so maybe I need to dive back in the next month and check out some of those, especially if it's a slow month with getting some like new releases. But I've I've been kind of true to my word and my recommendations, for the previous podcast, and I've been playing games like PokerStars VR, Walkabout Mini Golf, doing some Cookout, which I'm going to review, and then I tried Pagan's Peak the other day for review purposes. And one interesting thing that's happened is that a lot of people that I personally know or am connected to in some way have gotten into VR via the Quest 2. So, we had the Christmas holiday, and that got more people into VR, and it's just kind of exploded in terms of my network of people I'm connected to. A lot of that is because through our VR Gaming Podcast Discord, and again, I'll make that more public. I did post a link or an invite to that on the VR Gaming Podcast Twitter page, so go check that out if you want to join the Discord. I recommend it. It's a nice small community. I think there's maybe 80 of us on there. But it started kind of out very small, kind of on purpose. I wanted to kind of feel it out and started inviting some folks that I know who were getting into VR. And a lot of people on there, as Justin has seen, is from the pinball community. So what's ended up happening is that, my other hobby that I've mentioned before is pinball. And I'm a streamer there. And, we have folks that watch our channel, and I've been promoting VR, so that's kind of gotten them into taking a look at VR and joining that our Discord channel for VR Gaming Podcast. And then some other prominent streamers or kind of people who are kind of producing content, or even some game designers in pinball have joined the VR Gaming Discord because they just got VR. Maybe they had it for a while, and then they've been showcasing it like streams on their normal pinball streams, which they have a pretty decent audience. So then more people have started getting in. So it's just like there's been a huge growth in that channel, and that's meant that a lot of people are getting into VR for the first time. A lot of people just got a headset. Like in the last week, Justin, I think like 4 to 6 people that got headsets, including my girlfriend Martha. Right, like, and when people first get their headsets, I think a lot of the appeal is, okay, what games can we play together? So PokerStars VR has been great because it's free and it's on Quest and it's a well-done game, and most people know how to play poker, so it's an easy one for people to get into. It's also on PC, it's on Quest, so no matter what people have, they're able to play it. Walkabout Mini Golf has been huge. Like people who have just gotten their Quest, absolutely, and this is like their first introduction to VR, have absolutely loved Walkabout Mini Golf to the point that we started doing kind of tournaments twice a month, right with that. And these are super casual tournaments that are organized in the VR Discord. VR Gaming Podcast Discord. There's no entry fee or anything like that. That's been fun. We had 20 people, I think, playing the last tournament on Saturday. I've been streaming those on the Twitch channel for VR Gaming Podcast. So it's twitch.tv /VR_gaming_podcast if you want to check that out. Been streaming that, and that's been huge. And then Cookout, which I'll talk about in the review, has also been huge in that channel. So it's kind of gotten me to play some of these more casual games, I would say. Some ones I might overlook a little bit, but have been an absolute blast because I'm playing with friends or people that I have some connection to. So it's been really good. It's really helped, I think, with the social aspect, and that's been my focus.
Yeah, my problem is coordinating with people because I have a baby, and we have like baby shift times, and it's hard for me to coordinate with anybody, so I don't get to do much multiplayer anymore.
Well, I'll say this, if there's a game that you want to play, or people are coordinating games all the time in that Discord now. Like I just checked that people were organizing. They're like organizing a golf game every day, maybe several times a day at various hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good place to head it to. So I know when I first got into VR, we were early to this, and you were earlier than I was. But like I didn't know. I knew like maybe a couple people that had VR, and then just kind of coordinating playing games with them or trying to figure out a shared interest in playing the same game. That was a challenge. So now what's awesome about that Discord is that, if you have a game you want to play, you can go in there and try to organize it with people who are hungry and are just super into VR right now, especially with the pandemic. This has been a godsend to us who are, a lot of the people, again, are you guys see a lot of talk about pinball, but these are a lot of people that go to tournaments, pinball tournaments and stuff like that. So this has been great. So
Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And that leads me to something I wanted to talk about with you for a discussion point. I'm kind of jumping ahead, and that's like is Quest 2. I have to imagine Quest 2 did quite well this Christmas holiday. Like I said, anecdotally, I know a lot of people that have gotten Quest 2. Someone just got it again today. I've got another friend who told me today he's getting it on Wednesday. Like it's just really spreading. I'm wondering, do you think this is the like turning point for VR, where we're like getting to the point where we can see VR becoming mainstream almost?
I don't think so, because I don't think the Quest 2 is a big enough of an upgrade from the Quest 1. Like, excuse me. Like, I don't see. Okay, so I guess the biggest thing and the reason so many people that got the Quest 2 is probably the price, right? It's not like it has any crazy feature. It does. It just has like a better processor. It has higher resolution, and there's not much else there versus the Quest 1. So what I don't understand is why is the Quest 2 now, other than I guess it's the price that made a bunch of people to buy it. So I bought a Quest 1 and a Quest 2, and I just wasn't impressed with the comfort because they're front heavy. And with the Quest 2, they give you that cloth strap. So I'm worried that lots of people are going to spend $299, get it, and then just be like, this thing's uncomfortable, I don't like it, and then just not use it anymore. And then maybe enthusiasts will end up getting the straps, like the Elite strap or the Elite battery strap, or I've even seen their straps now where there's a Halo headband. That's like a third-party strap. And those people, maybe they'll keep using it and like it, but I don't know. Just from my experience with it, I don't think it's a game changer enough to be a turning point to make it mainstream. I feel like VR needs to get way lighter, way more comfortable, and there also needs to be better games. There needs to be some real killer apps and games, and I don't think there are any yet that will pull in the mainstream. So that's what I say.
Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of things that I can kind of jump in. And you brought up a lot of things, right? So I'll try to sort them out and give my thought. I think the biggest thing with the Quest 2 is the $299 price point. I think that's like a magic price point for that. I mean, first of all, I'm just blown away that they could do this for $299. It's just so remarkable when you think about, the cost of VR when it came out in 2016 with the Rift and the Vive, and these are $800 things, and then that's not even factoring the cost of the $1,000 plus computer, right? So the price point in 2016 to play VR was $1,800, and there were just barely any games, anything to do on it, right? We went from the entry point to VR, $1,800 to $299 in 5 years, and the quality of the VR headset is better than what existed in 2016. That was wired and cost more than twice as much. So I think the Quest 1 was impressive and good, and people started getting into it, right? Like, I think, okay, I don't need a computer, it's $399, but still, it's hard to push something that's $399 for something that people just don't really understand until they put on a VR headset and see how mind-blowing it is, right? I had an easier time, I think, when it became $299 to get people to jump at that. I think that's the magic price point. I think that's I think Facebook learned that, and I'm guessing that one reason that we saw basically only a year of time pass between the Quest 1 and 2 is because they figured out how to get it to $299 and make some improvements, and definitely some they took some backsteps, but I think that's the magic number, man. I think that is what's causing the turning point. Not only that it's $299, but it's wireless, you don't need a computer. I think still there's a lot of people. I think what keeps it from being truly mainstream is that there's still a lot of people that just don't understand how awesome VR is. They don't understand the Quest 2. I think they still don't understand that for $299 you can get this amazing VR experience and you don't need a computer. So there's that. To your point about the comfort, I'm with you 100%. That thing is, I found it. I spent a little bit of time with it because Martha got hers in the last week. I spent, I don't know, maybe half an hour with it, right? And I found it more comfortable than the Quest 1. The Quest 1 was just really bad, in my opinion. This was more comfortable. It's still not great. It's still like coming from like the Index or something. It's uncomfortable, period. But the funny thing is, I always ask people who, like, this is their first VR experience, right? The Quest 2. Even the Quest 1, I would ask them, how is it comfortable? How is it? Oh, yeah, it's fine. Like, they have no concept of how uncomfortable it is.
That's true.
That's the crazy thing. Martha is the only one that actually told me it's uncomfortable, but she's used to using, like, she's used my Samsung Odyssey when I had it. She's used the Lenovo Explorer. She's used the Index. So she knew immediately. She, like, immediately putting it on, she was struggling with the comfort and the fit. But everybody else I asked, when they've only used the Quest 2, it's fine.
Well, are they people that only wear it for like 30 minutes, or are they? They're not like serious hardcore gamers that will be in a game for hours or until the battery dies.
I think at least 30 minutes, if not more. I have not had one person that I've kind of pushed together. I know that I've gotten it that said, "Hey, this is great, but what do you do about the comfort?" Or, I've not had that issue. And when I've asked people have not said it's uncomfortable, they're like, "Well, yeah, I don't know if it's any problem. What are you talking about?" I'm like, well, don't let me ruin it for you. You know what I mean?
It kept drooping down for me, and so then I would be out of the sweet spot. And I don't know if they're not aware that they're out of the sweet spot. I don't know.
Yeah, I had one friend say, "Hey, this is a little blurrier." It was either a friend or Martha. I was like, "Well, you just got to get it in the sweet spot." Like, so there's that learning curve, and I know Martha really struggled with the straps, and the straps are terrible. I think it's a terrible design. I know they went back on the quality, but it's just so hard, I think, to figure out how you fit this on your head. It's not intuitive, and I think that's super important, right? The right fit. You have options in terms of tightening the strap on the sides, on the top, then you can tilt it, right? So you've got that, but it's just not, even for me, it's not intuitive. Like, how do you get it just to fit right? Like, what's an easy way to just be able to put it on and it fits great and you're ready to go? Even sometimes, the Index is easier to do this for me, but even sometimes I find myself playing with it and dialing it in and just getting it perfect, and I'm afraid to, like, ever readjust the strap for fear of losing that. But the Quest seemed even more difficult.
Definitely.
All right, man. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I've just seen people get into the Quest and are being blown away, and I see like couples, they'll get it, and then like the other partner will get the Quest because they want their own, And I think the price point really helps with that. So plus it's been out of stock. We had to wait until last week to finally get it.
I mean, was the Quest 1 the same way?
Yeah, I think the Quest 1 had gone out of stock at times, right? Like I think it had done pretty well. So I don't know.
I'm glad the Quest 2 went out of stock because I sold mine for a big profit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't own a Quest 2. I wouldn't own it because I've got my Index. I'm fine. Yeah. Again, if I traveled, maybe something like that, but I have no use case personally for one, but I'm glad it exists. And the other thing that I've noticed from kind of our Discord group and people getting it is that the Quest 2, this is like Valve should love the Quest 2. This is the best sales mechanism for the Index. It's that they're not going to spend $1,000 on a headset when they know nothing about VR, but maybe they'll try it for $299, and then they'll like it, and they'll be like, oh, but a PC one must be much better. And you're like, yeah, it is, right? Like it is better. And then the people who, there's plenty of people that want to have the best experience or can afford it and want the best, and then they'll get an Index. So I saw that happening a lot too.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. I'm really happy with where it's at in many ways. I wish there was something really viable between the Quest 2 and the Index. But again, I think that it's definitely leading to more Index sales. So it's all good. I think this is the gateway drug for VR finally.
Yeah, there's the HP Reverb G2, but that seems to have issues, and because it's WMR, and that seems kind of finicky. And then there's Rift S. That's down to $299 now, the Rift S. But Oculus abandoned that, so
yeah,
probably most people don't want to buy that.
Yeah, yep. So I wonder if Valve will ever get into kind of like a Quest type of headset. I don't know. It seems interesting. Yeah,
because of their stores on PC. I mean, unless they came up with some sort of good mobile store, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It's too bad that Facebook is dominating. I mean, they're doing a really good job with the Quest, but it's too bad that there's no competition in that space for them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for entertaining me about that discussion. I find this stuff really interesting. Before we get to the news, I just want to make an appeal. If you like this show and you've been listening to it, and you think that you found value for it, and you think other people would find value, I'd ask you to take a moment to write a review on iTunes or whatever other podcast listening service you're on. It certainly helps us get some notice so that more people can listen to this. I notice that we get really consistent numbers in listenership, and I just want to grow the podcast as much as possible because Justin and I love talking about VR and spreading the good news about VR and getting more people into it. And especially now that more people are picking up headsets, we want to help those people find the good games out there. So take a moment of your time, only take a couple minutes, toss us a review, and that will help elevate our podcast a little bit higher. All right, let's go to the news. And again, I like having your help with this, Justin, on board because you locked in on things that we kind of throw in the news. Like I write things that I thought were kind of interesting or important in the last month, and then you added things, but they were totally different. And I'm glad it gets a kind of a more robust news segment. So why don't you start with what you wrote here?
Okay, so in my opinion, the biggest game release of this past month is probably Hitman 3 for PSVR, but I didn't play it. I have a PSVR, I have a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I decided I was boycotting the game because it doesn't have like full motion control support. It's gamepad only. And, the gamepad has a light bar on it, so it can be sensed by the PlayStation camera. But, you're just holding a gamepad, and, like, you'd be, I don't know, swinging in the air with a gamepad in your hand, like a full, the DualShock gamepad. And I just didn't think that would be good enough. So I was just, I even online, I was trying to tell the developers, motion controls or I'm out. Add motion control, like full motion controller support, which is the PlayStation Moves. And no, they didn't. So I didn't play it, didn't buy it. I mean, it's a full price game, but there are people on, like VR YouTubers that played it, and they said it wasn't very good, is what I've heard from most of them. So I can't tell you how it was. I've watched some videos, and that's about it.
Wow, dude, I had no idea. I honestly had no idea. How is it 2021 and you're not using VR motion controls? You're using a gamepad?
Yeah,
I mean, dude, that wasn't really even excusable. I guess it was excusable maybe in 2016. You shrug your shoulders as like, oh, you're just happy to have VR, but that just, God, it's like they don't know anything about VR.
Yeah. Technically, it is motion controls because the gamepad can act. So, like, you can reach with the gamepad, like, like with one hand and, like, like punch.
This sounds so stupid, dude.
Yeah, with the gamepad or, reach for whatever. But, yeah, you're holding a gamepad.
Why? Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. PlayStation VR, the Move controllers, they don't have an analog stick. I don't know why they designed them that way, but there's no analog stick.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they thought they couldn't figure out the control, how to map the controls, because sometimes it's weird. In some VR games, they use the moves, like how you're gonna move, and maybe they just didn't have enough buttons to figure it out on the Move controller. So there's one PSVR game called Gollum that I played where I used a gamepad in my left hand, and my right hand I used a Move controller. And that worked fine, so they could have done that.
Man, I think the PSVR is past its time, right?
Definitely.
Like hand clamp, for coming out in 2016 and everything, but developers, it's PC and Quest right now. That's where you want to put your effort. That's where it is. Until there's a new headset for the PS5, but there's been nothing official released on that I'm aware of. So time to move on. PSVR.
One more detail.
Yeah.
If you have like Hitman, I think it's previous. I don't know if it's 1 and 2, but there's like 2 previous Hitman games. If you have them, you can play those in VR too. I'm not sure how that works, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, it's probably terrible.
You have to buy Hitman 3, and then you can. And if you have those games too, yeah, I'm sure it's terrible. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh wow. All right. Interesting. Well, that's it. Listen, I totally understand why you didn't spend any time or money on this game. I totally get it. All right. So moving on, we've got Gorn released for Quest, which I wrote in there, and then you wrote down Doom 3 was released, but the Doom 3 is not an official release; it's an unofficial release.
Yeah, it's a mod. So you have to own Doom 3 on PC, and then you can transfer the files. So you have to have your Quest 2 or Quest like in developer mode so that you can do that sort of thing if you know how to do that. But like so many people were going nuts over this that the Quest could run Doom 3 now that I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, it's nice. I love Doom. Doom 3 is one of my favorite games in VR. The Doom 3 BFG Fully Possessed mod is what you want to get. There's definitely jank with it. You're going to have to play with it to get to working it, to go to forums and stuff. But my God, I really wish they released a legit version of Doom 3 BFG because it's so good. It just, man, it's a full game, and the atmosphere in Doom 3 in VR is phenomenal. It's super scary. It's like going through like the best, haunted house ever. Like the haunted house experiences that pop up around the country. Right, it's just like it's so good. I love that. I still haven't beaten it because sometimes the jank gets to me. But and also when I had it, I didn't want to beat it too quickly because I loved it that much. It's kind of like a weird scenario. But I need to hop in there and finally complete it and see if I can get through it because there's stuff like crashes and it does things here and there. But I put it this way: if you wanted to make it work, it's playable.
Yeah, I beat Doom 3 when it came out in like 2004 or whatever it was. And then when it came out for VR, I played through it the whole way again. And then I tried to play the DLC because with BFG Edition, it has the DLC like Resurrection of Evil and then some other DLC too. And then I tried to play through that and then I had a crash. But other than that crash, and I could not get past that crash, I was pissed. I didn't have really much jank until that.
Yeah, I think the jank were mostly the crashes, and it's a little weird with the index controls. I think I've managed to get to work, but like I feel like I'm fighting the controls. I wish what I did was I wish I beat it and played the whole thing on the Samsung Odyssey because it's only made it more difficult with the index controls. I think there's ways to remap it, but then again, I didn't have the willpower to troubleshoot more problems with it, so that's why it's kind of been dormant. Okay. But I absolutely love it, and again, if that sounds appealing to you, then check it out on the Quest, check it out on the PC if you have PC. But it's a great experience. All right, I just have a note here that Quest 2 is back in stock. I mentioned this earlier, it was out of stock. It seems to be back. Last week, I think, was the big week for people getting it from Amazon. We got ours from Best Buy. So that's good. It's back in stock. I've heard that the indexes, Valve Index, has been back in stock as well. People have been getting it fairly quickly. So all good on that front. Let's see. And Road to VR, which we get a lot in the news for that. I love that site, so always credit and shout out to Road to VR. This is a quote about a new Quest being in development, which is, I mean, that's just surprised nobody, right? I mean, they're always going to be working on the next Quest. So we're continuing to work on new VR hardware as well. The new hardware will fit the same platform, so the content that works on Quest 2 should be forward compatible with the new hardware. So that we're going to build one larger install base around the virtual reality headsets that we have. So good news. More Quests, cheaper Quests. I guess the only question is, when is it coming out? Are they on a 1-year cycle, which seems really quick, or are they on a 2-year cycle or 3? I would maybe 2. Maybe they split the difference.
Yeah, I think that was a Mark Zuckerberg quote, and I think it's 1.5 years between Quest 1 and 2.
Sounds right. Yeah, sounds right. It's super close, man. Yeah, it's super close.
He said that he wants like 10 million sold for it to, like, that's what he called mainstream.
Yeah.
And I don't think Quest 2 will get there.
Road to VR was talking about it, and they were kind of saying that he's closing in on it, they think. So
yeah, they don't ever publish their numbers, I think.
Yeah. I'm sure, we'll know when they hit it, right? They'll say something, but
yeah, they'll say it then. Yeah.
It sounds like they've been happy with their sales, and again, the fact that it's out of stock. I mean, I know the pandemic's going on, so you can't say for certain, but I think it's doing well. I think it's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then last news bit that we have is I Expect You to Die is coming out. 2 is coming out this year. I guess that's some big game release news. We'll talk about it because we've both played that game. In the review. And anything else we missed, Justin, that has come to mind or that we don't have written down?
Nah, that's it.
All right, well, let's move on to the review section of this episode. So we've got Cookout, then VR Adventure, and I Expect You to Die. So you have not played Cookout, have you, Justin?
We're doing Pagan Peak 2?
We're doing Pagan Peak 2. I totally skipped over it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
No, I haven't played Cookout yet, no.
Okay. All right. Well, so I'll tackle this one. So Cookout is by Resolution Games. Came out on September 3rd of 2020. It's on the Oculus Rift/Quest for $19.99. And its current rating on Oculus Store is 4.6. I think it's got like 300 some reviews. It was just announced, I think within the last week, that this is going to come to Steam as well, but they don't have a release date. Of course, if you're on the Index or the Vive, you can still play this game. Even though if you don't have a Rift or a Quest, you can play it by using Revive, which is a free program that allows you to play Oculus games. Just know that there is always a risk. Like today, I loaded up. I tried to play Cookout after not playing it for probably like a month, and it wasn't loading. Reinstalling Revive made it work. So even though it was still the same version, so I don't know. But that's always a risk, and I just want to make that clear when we talk about things like this. Okay, so Cookout is, every time I talk about Cookout or mention Cookout, some people will say, oh, is it like Overcooked? I think that's another game or popular game that people have played. And I guess the answer is yes. I've not played it, but that's everybody's conclusion. So this is a 1 to 4 player game where it's a room scale game, but you're not really moving around much. You can kind of stand in one space. You kind of have like your cooking space, and it's almost like you're a cafe or like a food truck, and people come up to your food truck, kind of these I don't know. They're not people. They look like animals, like a wolf or like a bird. I don't know, a raccoon, right? Like it's kind of these fun cartoonish graphics. And they'll put an order in, and on your food station you only have so many ingredients. You don't have them all, and the other food station, like you're playing with friends, they have different ingredients. Some might overlap, some might be different. So you've got to work together when the orders come in. Like if you have white bread, okay, that's great, that's you. But if you don't have a tomato, you got to put it on the plate, and you have to make sure that your friend is paying attention that the next ingredient is a tomato, and then maybe after the tomato you need a lettuce on that sandwich, and maybe your other friend has a lettuce. So meanwhile, there's 1 to 5 orders going at a time, and they're spinning around this, so it's hectic, right? It's this kind of fast pace, trying to pay attention to the orders that are coming in, and what the orders and the ingredients that you have. Like you use like motions to chop it up. You take kind of like your bread out of like this refrigerator stockpile, and you have a cleaver and you do the chopping up motion, and now you've got a piece of bread, and then you put it on the plate, and then you take something else out like a tomato, chop it up, and so on and so forth. So it's hectic. It's communicating with people. It's getting out orders quickly. There's also things in the game to kind of modify it, so you can get like potions to slow down time, which will help you out, or another potion will give you tofu, so that will substitute any ingredient on the sandwich you're making. There's a way to make the cleaver sharper, so you cut up faster. And as you get through the game, they start adding more ingredients. They start adding more things you got to do, like. So later on, at first you're just chopping up bread, but later on in the game, as you progress, you got to like toast the bread. So now you've unlocked kind of like the stove next to you. And then later on, the dishes become dirty, and you've got to wash the dishes as the plates come back. It's really cool. I like how it ramps up the difficulty and adds on more things to learn. I found the pace was really good. I haven't gotten through it, maybe 40%. Kind of moving through the story mode, or kind of the level-based system that they have. So I still don't know what's around the corner, and that's maybe like a good 2+ hours into the game, something like that. If Oculus doesn't really do a good job of counting the time in the game that I'm aware of, but yeah, I think that's a good overview. You got to plate the food correctly. You can't put it on crooked. So it's this hectic, fast-paced game. I think of it almost like I play like board games, right? And I think of it almost like kind of this party game. If you're a board game player, I think you have a sense of what I'm talking about, where it's just like this team party game that you're playing, working as a team, cooperating. It's a lot of fun. I will say though that I don't think this game will be that great single player. Like, you can play as single player, and that's cool, but this game kind of ramps up exponentially in the fun as you add more people. So two is better than 1 for sure. Working with a party of 3, and then 4. 4's a party, and that's a lot of fun. A lot of things to laugh at. The graphics are well done. Again, they're kind of, I always use this word cartoony, if you will, but kind of fun, lively, suitable for kids, but this not necessarily means it's a kid's game, right? It's not geared towards kids in any way. It's for all ages to play, so you can have fun as adults with your friend, or if you have some younger kids, you can play with them, or let your kids play by themselves. It's very good in that aspect. It ran well for me. Again, I'm on a 2080, but ran very smooth. It's not overly complex graphics, but they look good and it runs well. The sound's good too in the game, and voices in terms of like food items you need when the orders come in. There's some pleasant music playing in the background. Now, the controls are a little hard for me to really talk about adequately, because I'm playing through Revive and I'm using index controllers, which are mimicking Knuckles controllers, or controllers from the Quest or the Rift, and it's a little janky with the index. It's not super intuitive sometimes. Like when you go to select a menu item, if your finger is out like a pointer, it won't work. You actually have to have it not as a pointer to click on something. But once you get past maybe that little weird hiccup, it's great. Picking up the food items, chopping things up, putting on a plate, very basic controls. Next, little to no button pushing required. You're not using the joystick at all, because again, this is just like grabbing things, plating things, stuff like that. So using your hands a lot, but not moving around at all. And even not even having to move really in your space at all. You can reach and lean a little bit, because there's kind of this like lazy Susan that's spinning by this rotating plate of food as you're plating the order, so you can kind of lean in and drop things. But again, really simple game to explain and understand, and I highly recommend it as kind of, you got somebody who just got a Quest and you want to play games with them. This is a great game to recommend. Super easy to get into. Not going to make anybody sick. That kind of deal. Immersion's great. I love games that are room scale, right? Even though I'm not using the space by walking around so much, the immersion feels fantastic. It's pretty good. Last ability. I don't know how many hours you're going to get out of this, but I can. It's at least several hours for going through the actual game, and then they have things like endless mode. Again, when you get new friends into this game, I think it's a fun game to play with them. So you can get a lot of mileage out of this game. And they're actually on their Discord doing a contest right now that if you can get a score of 30 points or higher on their endless mode and solo play, they'll give you a free key to give out to a friend. So that's pretty cool. I tried doing this for you, Justin, man. I tried doing this for you. I went in today and got only 13. I failed miserably. And this game was like an anxiety. Like I'm like trying to plate the food. I know I'm messing up on the orders, and I'll keep on going back. I'll keep on doing it, but it can be stressful, right? Like especially when you're by yourself. But it's fun. It's fun, man. You're on edge when you're playing this game.
That's okay. I'd rather have the Steam version.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, I know if Walkabout Mini Golf, the developer said that if you have it for the Oculus Store version, you want it on Steam, because you're playing through Revive, he'll hook you up. So hopefully these guys will do the same thing. I think it's only right. Like you shouldn't have to buy two versions of the game. They got your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will. I'll probably buy it on Steam. I like it as much. The only thing is, I think $19.99. Is this game worth $19.99? Absolutely. Could it be $14.99? And I think that'd be a better price point. I would say so.
Was it on sale at any point?
I paid full price. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's polished. It works well. It's a lot of fun. I've had no issues with it. I think you're going to get hours of enjoyment. So $19.99 is a no-brainer. But I think of Walkabout Mini Golf, and I don't know. I think it could be $14.99. I don't think it's crazy to ask for that. But yeah, full price, get it. You don't need to wait for a sale on this game. This game is I give it an 8.5 for what it is. It's a really good game. It's hard for me to really default it. There can always be more, but I think it's a really good game that's worth adding to your library, especially when you're playing with friends. If you're playing by yourself, again, you might want to stay away from it. If you can get some friends, great. And if you don't have anybody to play with, but you want to play with people, then join us in our Discord, VR Gaming Podcast Discord. Again, if you go to, I posted a recent Twitter post. It's there. You can always email us at vrgamingpodcast@gmail.com. I'll send you the invite that way. And eventually I'll probably just put it in the Twitter kind of bio area. But there's people are loving that game. You'll be able to hop in a game that way as well. So highly recommend it. That's Cookout with a rating of 8.5. All right, let's move on. So the other game that I have planned to review, and we'll do so, is Pagan Peak VR. But I was surprised to hear you say you played it the other day too, Justin. That's great.
I saw you playing it, and then that made me look at it. And then I saw it was on sale for $3.99. So then I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's the good price point for this game. So this game is made by Another World GmbH. I think that's like I guess German companies do the GmbH. I don't get it, but I saw Crytek GmbH do that. But anyways, Another World is the developer. Came out on October 30th, 2019. So I've had this game for well over a year. I bought it on sale one time and just finally got around to playing it. I should have played it around Christmas time, and I'll mention why in a minute. But it's on both Steam and Oculus for $9.99. But right now on Steam with the sale, at least for a couple more days, it's 60% off at $3.99. It's currently sitting at a 7 out of 10 on Steam. So how much of this game did you play, Justin?
I got to what I think is the end.
Okay.
There's a part where I had to make a choice, and I must have made the wrong choice, and I died.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. You got farther than I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we want to talk about it, but we don't want to talk about how far. So I'm gonna do my take of what the overview of the game is, an objective, and you can chime in if you think I butchered this. So I would describe this as a escape room type game, a horror escape room type game. Mm-hmm. The villain in this, I guess, or the mythology behind it, is like Krampus, which is I don't know. Is that like it's not the. It's like it has to do with Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a villain
And
or something, like a
he like
fairy tale.
kidnaps children, maybe eats
Yeah,
them. I
something
don't
with
know.
children. You kind of like wake up in this cabin, and there's these puzzles for you to solve. And it's very atmospheric. There's creepy noises. There's creepy people lurking outside. Um, I didn't experience any. I think this is important to say. I didn't experience any jump scares, and I think that's important to a lot of people when they hear horror. A lot of people don't like jump scares. So I also saw in some of the reviews on Steam that they were saying there's no jump scares. I did not finish this
Hmm.
game,
Hmm.
so I don't want to go on record saying there's definitely not any, but I didn't experience any. There's just creepy atmosphere, and that's kind of my favorite thing in a game, right? Like
Yeah.
there's all I always felt like the threat of something that's going to happen. So there was always a threat of a jump scare. I hope I didn't ruin that for anybody, but I know that that can scare people away from games, and it's plenty of reviews will say that. So I didn't encounter any. That doesn't mean that there aren't any. I just want to be clear. Yeah, that's the thing. So this is an escape room game in a horror setting with Krampus. So that's why I probably should have played it around Christmas time. And yeah, anything that I didn't catch there, kind of the overview and objective.
Um, I, I know you start out the game in a car for some reason,
Yeah.
and then like there's a car wreck, and I think you see Krampus then, but
Hmm.
and then things happen from there.
Yeah, yeah. There's like these people who were murdered, and I like it starts off. I think that you're gonna go meet somebody maybe to learn about the murders. Maybe like you're a journalist or something,
Or
and
maybe it
then
was that real estate company. Maybe it was related to that.
yeah, but then you
I
become
don't know.
like captive, and you're trying
Yeah.
to like you're kind of solving these puzzles to try to get out.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, the graphics, I think the graphics look good, but they're also like there's something to the graphics that aren't crisp or clear. They're a little like kind of fuzziness to the graphics.
Mm.
I saw people complaining on Steam that it wasn't optimized, didn't run well. So that's one reason I didn't play it when it first came out.
Huh.
So either they fixed it and they made it run better, or I just didn't have an issue on my 2080, but it was fine for me.
Yeah, my performance was fine. I thought the graphics were good in a lot of places, but then other places it would kind of look like how photogrammetry looks.
Not 100%.
Okay, so photogrammetry is like I don't know, like if you're in Google Earth sometimes and you look around and things just look kind of weird, a little like you were saying blurry. It's like where they took an image of like a real life thing and then turned it into
Yeah.
an asset and it makes it look kind of strange.
Yes. Okay. Totally get it. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the stuff looked really good. So it was kind of mixed as far as
Yeah.
graphics.
It's definitely fine, right? Like
Hmm.
and like some of the stuff look kind of good. I think is very accurate. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to blow your mind, but it does a good job.
Oh,
Um.
I remember the first thing I noticed was my hands were very small.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you have these mittens, and I was like, this kind of looks like children's hands, the size.
I have small children's hands, so I probably
Oh,
wouldn't even
okay.
notice. Probably I notice it when my character has like huge hands, and
Oh,
it
okay.
just it feels ridiculous to me because I have small hands.
Huh.
The sound I thought the sound was good in the game. Again, sound
Yeah.
has to be good in a horror game because you're creating an atmosphere, and it did a perfect job of that. I thought.
Yeah, it was really creepy, and there were yes, especially like you were talking about, there were people hanging out around the cabin and making noises, and yeah, there are parts further. I mean, there are parts in this game where you're not in the cabin anymore, and they use sound there too, and it's very creepy.
Yeah. There's some like recorded like live video, and there's like radios and stuff playing. So
Yeah.
the production quality on the sound was right on. Hard to
Mhm.
imagine it better. Again, really good at setting the atmosphere. I'll have to talk to you after this about how far you got. I'm just curious.
Okay.
I might dive back in. I kind of got stuck at a point, and I was like ready to move on. But
Mhm.
anyways, the controls. Now, here's I had a little issue with the controls. It wasn't terrible, but it clearly wasn't designed with the index in mind. So like grabbing things and having to click like kind of like squeeze the grip on the index, which is like kind of making a fist, and that kind of stuff was a little jank but functional.
Yeah, I had to squeeze really hard to keep that lighter in my hand. If I let go at all, even slightly,
Mm.
it the lighter would fall out of my hand.
Okay. Yeah. I got used to it very quickly and was
Mhm.
able to play the game, right? So
Yeah.
it didn't stop. It's smooth motion controls, smooth locomotion. You're not moving really quickly, so it shouldn't bother really anybody. Some snap turning. They might have
We
had smooth as option. I just did snap, but
we got to mention the head bob. That's something they got to fix.
oh,
So
dude, I didn't even notice it. I didn't
Oh,
even
really?
notice it. Yeah.
Oh, well, when you do free loco in this game, you're doing a head bob the whole time, so you're going up and down as you walk. And in VR games, you should never do that.
Weird. I didn't even notice it. It
Yeah.
didn't bother me. I didn't notice. Interesting.
Wow.
Okay. Agreed, though. Agreed. And then why don't you talk about? I saw you posted about this, and I noticed it immediately. When the game starts up, it doesn't give you a good feeling. Like you're
Mhm.
like, oh no, this game's like they don't get VR, or it's not going to work well.
Yeah.
Why don't you
When you
talk
s-
about that?
When you start in that car, the first thing you start in this car that's driving, and if you start turning your head around, the world, like the interior of the car, just moves around strangely, like almost like it's slightly attached to your head movement, and it felt like something like if I used like the program Vorpex, which is allows you to play 2D games and like turn them into VR games. It but it's often janky. It felt like that head movement in a lot of Vorpex games I've tried. So they need to fix that.
Yeah, the rest of the game was fine though.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
so that's good. It just I can see somebody being like, oh my god, this game's broken or something's wrong, but
Yeah, my first impression was, oh, this is gonna suck.
it's kind of like where there's no interaction at that point. You're just sort of watching
Yeah,
this unfold, so it doesn't ruin anything. It's just
yeah,
not they got to fix that.
yeah.
Immersion. What do you think about the immersion in this game?
Um, I felt immersed like because of the sound and obviously it's a first-person game. Um, you know, pretty average, I guess, levels of immersion, except for the sound making you feel like, you know, more scared than, your average VR game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there was things to pick up. A lot of
Yeah,
things you
yeah,
pick up, look at, turn over.
yeah.
You mentioned like the lighter, rotating objects and stuff and moving things around. So they had that and it was good. I thought
Hmm.
it was fine. It got the job done, right? Like it's not gonna blow your mind, but it's not like a lot of fault finding other than that car scene.
Yeah, kind of like lots of escape room games have tons of objects that you can pick up and move around with your hands and examine. Uh, it's kind of like that sort of thing.
By the way, do you have a good escape room game that you'd recommend? Is there a good escape room multiplayer game?
Multiplayer. There is a multiplayer one, but I can't remember the name of it because I never got a chance to actually play it with somebody. Um, I can't think of its name right now,
All right,
and I don't know if it's good.
yeah. I know I looked at one time. I just couldn't find something that looked like it was really good kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, anyways, last ability with Pagan Peak VR. What do you think the last ability is?
Um, Probably not much. Escape rooms, in my opinion, have very little lastability. You get through it once, and I mean, you're not gonna. Why would you go back? You know like how to do everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's no last ability. Once you could probably beat this in I don't know an hour and a half maybe if you don't get depending on if you get stuck maybe two.
Hmm.
I don't know. I haven't beaten it, but yeah. It is what it is. Once you beat it, you beat it. You know all the problems. So next to no last ability. What do you think? What would you rate this game at?
Hmm. Um, I'm gonna. That's a tough one. Somewhere in the 6 to 6.5 range, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure which exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay.
I think it's a horror game. It's an escape room horror game. I like the puzzles. There was some I got stumped on. I didn't push through, but that's fine. I like the puzzles, and I thought they did a really good job on the atmosphere. There's some uniqueness to the game. And you picked it up. I know I picked it up on sale. I don't think I did as good as 60% off, $3.99 or whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
But for $3.99, man, that's great. $9.99 the regular price. Unless I think you really gotta like the idea of a horror room escape game that's like maybe I don't know, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours long at best. That might be pushing it.
Yeah, I doubt it's 2 hours. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it could be. I have trouble rating games because I'm like, am I comparing this to Half-Life Alyx or am I comparing
know.
this to other escape the room games? It's tough.
I know. I struggle with that, and I landed on the same rating that you did around there. So I think we're, I think we're doing
Yeah.
something right.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
When I say Cookout's an 8.5 and Half-Life Alyx is like a 10 in my book, does that mean it's like it's sort of like on the grand scale for like the
Mhm.
price, what the thing is,
Yeah.
how long it like I factor all that into it when I'm giving it a rating.
And then there are games where I've had way more fun in them than I did even in Alex. And it's like, well, do I rate that higher? But Alex is a better game. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think that's why, it's not like you're like, what do you think of Pagan Peak VR? It's a 6.5. I give it a 6.5. Let's move on. What do you think of Ven VR?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's like where you kind of we'll give it a numerical rating, but you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta listen to the whole context and breaking it down and a game that might be a 6.5 to me might be a 9 to somebody else because they just love that genre and they love everything about it, right? And
Mhm.
it's subjective. So that's hopefully we can tease it out by talking about the contents of the game. So,
Mhm. Okay.
all right, awesome. There you go, Pagan Peak VR. Finally glad I was able to play some of it, and I streamed it the other day a little bit, so I think the video's still up on the Twitch channel. Maybe if I'm motivated, I'll move it over to the YouTube channel for this. That stuff has been a little bit dormant. I feel like with the pandemic, I've spent so much time in Zoom meetings and in front of cameras that the last thing I want to do is go in front of a camera again with my gaming experiences. So I've been a little bit lax on that. All right, Ven VR Adventure. This is all you, Justin. I don't know anything about this game, and I've not played this game. So take it away.
Okay, Ven VR Adventure came out on January 28th from Monologic Games. It's on the Steam and Oculus Store. Just a second. I haven't gotten to talk a lot today, and then my throat wants to go crazy. So it's $26.99 on sale, but it's $29.99 full price. And right now it has a 91% on Steam. So the overview, of this game is basically you're this guy, Ven, and your planet has been invaded by aliens, and they have just run amok and taken over, and they've like abducted your children, or like little kids in your tribe or whatever, and you're this guy Ven who has these blades in each hand. It's basically swords, and you somehow befriend this robot that has this spaceship. Or I don't know if Ven already had the spaceship. Anyway, you use the spaceship flying around to these different levels, and I think the levels are like the alien worlds. And you go to the alien worlds, and you run through it's a platformer. It's a 3D platformer. Very a lot like Astrobot on PlayStation VR, which is in my opinion probably the best platformer in VR. And so it's similar to that. You're running from platform to platform, collecting little items that are sort of like coins in Mario, and then you're also finding in each level there's like 10 of these those little kids that were abducted, and you can find up to 10 of them. And so like at the end of the level, it'll show you collected 9 out of 10, and I'm not sure if there's a reason to want to get all 10 if like you can end up unlocking something. But so that's how the game works. And in the game, you use your motion controllers to control him, but you can also at some points you can actually interact with the game world to help him, like maybe throw grenades at an enemy, or there's actually even one part where you're sort of doing something sort of like Beat Saber, like this enemy boss is shooting rockets at you, and you're using your controllers sort of like sabers in Beat Saber to knock away his rockets, stuff like that. So the graphics, I think, are pretty good. As far as VR platformers go, I think Astrobot has better graphics. Moss maybe has better graphics. Ven VR Adventure has better graphics than Lucky's Tale. So Lucky's Tale was the first VR platformer that came out for Oculus in like 2016. So they're pretty good. I did notice that some people were complaining in the forums that like an earlier trailer, earlier gameplay video had better lighting and shadows than they currently do, than the game currently does. And I think that they're working on a Quest port, and that's why the graphics, like the lighting and shadows, have been downgraded. Because I think they're trying to keep it all one build. Because this is a small dev team of like maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 people, and they're an indie, so it's a lower budget thing. The sound, I don't remember noticing anything special about the sound. Just pretty typical sound. I had no issues with the controls at all. Some people in reviews were saying they're having control issues with Index, but I wasn't. Like, you have an attack button, then you have a jump button, and you can press jump twice and do a double jump. Or you could do a double jump, and then while you're in the air, hold down attack, and he'll do a special attack where he comes down on the ground hard, and it could kill multiple enemies with one hit. And there's some people were complaining about the camera. So like, you don't stay behind Ven the whole time. He kind of walks away from the camera, and I like that because it kind of gives it a little bit more challenge, and it's a little bit more interesting than like just staying straight behind him. So sometimes the platforming gets pretty tough, and you're gonna die a lot in this game. I died a lot, and you just got to get better. You got to get good. I don't know. And the immersion isn't. I mean, this is a third-person platforming game, so to me, those types of games don't ever really have that much immersion because you're looking at the character in third person, and but you do, as I said, interact in certain instances where you can see your motion controllers in the game, and you're using them to help him sometimes, but it's really not that often. Like in Astrobot, it was used way more often and way more interestingly. Like, for example, in Astrobot, there's a level where you throw ninja stars into the level, and then Astrobot can use those ninja stars once they've gotten stuck like into wood. He can use those as platforms to jump on. Like, stuff like that was really cool in Astrobot, but it's nothing like that in this game. As far as last ability, each level has like those guys you can collect, and there's even there's like like I said, there's stuff in the level that's sort of like coins. I think they're called relics or artifacts. You could try to collect all those if you wanted to, and maybe that would unlock some stuff. I'm not sure. There was in the menu, there was a part that said bonus levels that was grayed out, and I couldn't press it. I don't know if that's just something that the developers are gonna like add later, or if there could have been something I could have unlocked that I'm not aware of. So as I said, Astrobot, I would probably put the number one platformer in VR. Number two, I would say, is Moss. Now, at number three, I'm talking about straight platformer here. I would put Ven VR Adventure and Lucky's Tale around the same area. Some might like Lucky's Tale more. I talked to somebody today who said he likes Ven VR Adventure more than Lucky's Tale. This game, I beat it in 3 hours, and it's $29.99 full price. I think that's kind of high for 3 hours, but it's on sale for $26.99. The developer said they consider it a 4-hour game, and that I beat it faster than most people would have, but I did die a lot, so I don't know. And I had problems with the final boss. I had some bugs with the final boss, but they said they're going to fix that. And I put my full playthrough up on my YouTube channel, MameFan on YouTube. So my rating, I think I would give this game a 7.5, I think. And it's really good. If you like platformers, I say definitely get it. If you're not really into platformers, then yeah, I probably wait for it. If you're not into platformers, I don't know why you'd get it at all. But or just wait for it to go on sale more than $26.99. That's not that big of a sale. Any questions?
Yeah, have you played Trover? Saves the Universe?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Trover. Yeah, I beat Trover. That game is hilarious. I kind of didn't think of that because it's I don't really think of that as just a platformer because it's just like it's nonstop comedy. But yeah, that is a platformer too.
God, I got to finish that game. I love that game. Yeah. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
thought of that when you were talking about platformers. I didn't hear it mentioned, so I just wanted to ask about that.
I forgot about that. That game is game. No, you could use your motion controllers.
Yeah,
It's
gamepad works great on it. I mean,
gamepad
yeah.
works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that game, I like the comedy a lot. I think I didn't like like the gameplay all that much in Trover.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't find the gameplay bad on Trover. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was secondary to like the humor
Yeah, the
and
humor. Yeah.
the story that puts you through, right? But it was certainly
Yeah.
serviceable, right? Like it was more than enough to keep you moving along.
Yeah. So if I inserted Trover into that list, I'm not even sure where Trover would go.
Really made life difficult for you right now.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
You don't have to. It's
Yeah.
fine. So what did you give this as a rating? What do you see this
It was
at?
7.5.
7.5. Okay. All right. Sounds good. I'm not a platform guy, so I won't touch this game. But again, I'm glad we get your perspective on it because it's not something I would have grabbed my attention.
Platformers are probably my favorite genre.
Really?
Probably, yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, because it's my least favorite genre, along with like puzzle games, which we're gonna get to next.
And I love puzzle games.
Shit, dude,
I
this
love
is
them.
this is perfect. Then
Yeah.
this is great, awesome.
It is. Yeah.
This is good stuff. And which, by the way, personality. We're talking about personality types in Discord,
Mhm.
and you and I are both INTJs for the
Mhm.
Myers Briggs. So go figure. Same personality type, but you have different tastes. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring this on home with "I Expect You to Die." This game came out from Shell Games way back in April 2017. God, I remember playing this back in the day.
It actually came out before then. That's when I forgot about this. It came out to Oculus first, I think. It was an exclusive.
Wow.
And then it came out to Steam later because I asked the developers for a free key once it went to Steam, and they gave it to me.
This game is on Steam, Oculus, PSVR, Quest. I think it's also on the Atari Jaguar at this point. It's on everything. It's $24.99, and it's currently sitting at a 95% rating on Steam. So, when did you originally play this game?
So, okay, this originally there was a demo for this for the Oculus Development Kit 2, like back in like 2014 or 2015. That's when I first played it, and that was just the first level, the car on a plane level, and then it came out for Gear VR, and I played it on Gear VR. I can't remember if that was all four of the. I think it was. I think it was all four of the main levels that first came with it, and I played it through there, and then. I think because I bought it on there, I also got it on Oculus, or maybe I bought it again on Oculus. I don't remember. But then I played it there. Then I got it on Steam, and I think I have it on Quest too, my Quest library, because I had it on Oculus. Well, it's a cross-buy title.
Yeah. Well, take us through what's going on in this game. What's the objective of it?
So you're like a secret agent. It's sort of like it's like a James Bond theme. It's like you're in the 1950s or 1960s, and you're this spy, secret agent guy, and there's this evil corporation called Zoraxis, and you're basically trying to take them down. You're going through different. It's basically an escape the room game, but you're stuck in one spot. They made this game back when VR, was. At least a lot of Oculus games were stationary, and that was back when they only had, like those two front-facing cameras. So you're sitting in one spot, and it's a seated game, so you're like being a chair. But the thing is, you can interact with everything that you see. You can interact, you can grab it, you can, and you have a telekinesis ability, so things that are far away, you can pull them towards you. So there's a lot of places where you have to do that in order to get through a level. And so there are 4 levels originally: the car and a plane one, the window washer one, the submarine, and the winter lodge. Then they added 3. They updated the game and added 3 new levels. There's a train level, a boardroom level, and a space station level. And have you played any of those, Nick? The newer ones?
So it's been I had not played this game since like December or January, like maybe January 2018, and it's been more than 3 years. And this is one of like when I just got into VR, I grabbed this game, and I've played the car in a plane, I played the window washer, and I got stuck on the submarine.
That
And
one's the hardest one, I thought.
Oh Jesus, dude! That's why I got stuck and I got frustrated.
Yeah.
So This is probably. I'm gonna let you just kind of bring this review on home, but this is my interjection and kind of encompasses this game. So I'm not huge on puzzle games. I mean, I think I'm okay at puzzle games, and a really well done puzzle game I think I enjoy, especially if maybe like there's a good story behind it, and it keeps me trying to get to that story, right, to unlock it. But this is just simply doing kind of puzzle, like, kind of escape room scenarios just to do it, right? And that's fine. People love that stuff. That's not for me. But the biggest problem with this is that as you're doing it, like especially the submarine one, I forget if the other ones are like this or not. Submarine one's like timed.
Yeah.
All right. And I think most of them are timed because I expect you to die, so you die a lot, right? That's the joke. Haha. The problem is that you might get to a point, like let's say you get halfway to solving the puzzle, you're halfway through, you've solved a bunch of smaller things and you're working on it, and then you die. And then you got to replay the part that you already know again and again. So you might have to play several minutes of it over and over again. And there's one thing that I hate and won't stand for. It's just repeating parts. Like, I wish there was a checkpoint there or something like that. And I see this kind of game mechanism as something from like the 80s or 90s where, games weren't that long back then. So to extend it, it would make you do parts over and over and over again and send you back to a part. So I can't, like, that is like my kryptonite in life, is just doing the same thing Groundhog Day over and over and over again. So I just gave up at this submarine, and I wanted to see more in it. I wanted to do the Winter Lodge, and I also don't cheat. Like I can't bring myself to like look up the solution a lot of times. So on a game like this where it's not like there's a story and I really want to see this through, I'm just like, the hell with it. I'm gonna go play something else. So there's my story, and I expect you to die.
It would be hilarious to watch you play Groundhog Day VR, because there's a Groundhog Day VR game that I was miserable playing that, and I can only imagine how miserable you would have been.
And I love the movie.
Yeah, the movie's awesome, but that's probably why you don't like platformers, because a lot of times they're just like you die, try again, die, try. It's trial and error.
Yeah, I don't like that, man. I'm not I don't know. I don't like it. I feel like I get anxiety because my time is limited. Like I have only so much time to play games and stuff, and it's just like, dude, I don't want to do this nonsense over and over again.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with this game, is that it's just a ton of trial and error, and like you said, you have to do the whole level over again. You could be at the very end and you screwed up. Oh, got to start over from the very beginning. But like once you have it all memorized, luckily you can do it all pretty fast. Like there are speedrun videos where people are just like bam, 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 and just like through these levels so fast that it's amazing. So, wait, did you try any of those new ones?
I have not. No.
Oh wait, no, you got to the submarine. You said that.
Yeah, because you can't just select them, right? You got to go in order. Which that'd be like another thing. If they allowed you to just select whatever level.
You can just select them. You don't have to go in order.
Oh, maybe I see.
Or actually,
don't think.
How would I know? Because I already had beaten all the other ones, so maybe.
Yeah, I think you had to go in order. I don't think I ever had like the Winter Lodge or any of that kind of stuff available.
Well, the Winter Lodge, you can't get to until you beat Submarine.
Yeah,
but these added ones, I'm not sure if you could get to those at any point. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
actually.
maybe. I part of me was thinking, I'd like to go back and play, and then I'm like, dude, I just like I can't do it, man. It feels like work. It feels like work after working all day,
So to make you feel better, the Submarine one, I struggled so much that I went online and I had to look up, what do I have to do for this? And that's how I got through Submarine.
This sounds like a poorly designed level puzzle, if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
So I got through that, and then Winter Lodge I got through without cheating, and then the train, that one, I died a lot on the train one, and I figured it out. But then Boardroom, I tried that, and I even did a video of that, and I never finished that one. Space Station I tried today, and I had no clue what the hell I was supposed to be doing. And I just was like, all right, I give up. That
yeah,
one
I think
yeah, it would
I
seem the
think
worst.
you and I are competent adults. I think we're
Yeah.
competent adults. So, man, it's just like we're again, people who love puzzles probably love that, but
Hmm.
your average person, where's the fun when I can just go mini golfing?
Yeah.
or or like again, if there's a good story I'm trying to get through,
Yeah.
then yeah, like then I might be able to push through or eventually just cheat on that. But there's not, man. It's just like a puzzle for the sake of doing a puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. There's story in like the office part in between levels a little bit, just because they tell you what your mission is and why you're doing it. So there's a little bit there, um, but like that's about it. I think in Expect You to Die 2, from what I saw, there's a Steam page now. It sounds like they added a lot more story to it.
Okay.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's very different otherwise. I think you're still stuck in one spot, and it's still going to be single player and like doing the same type of stuff. So probably not for you.
Yeah. I'll let you finish the rest of this review and I'll
No.
toss on a rating at the end, but
Okay.
I
All
kind of
right.
said my piece on it.
Okay. So the graphics are nice and clean. Um, they don't look like realistic or anything, but I mean they look good. They're colorful and bright. So the sound, average. I can't think of anything that stands out about the sound. The controls, never had an issue. Like I said, there's a telekinesis pull. That's easy to control. You point at something that's far away, and then like with my index controller, I press forward on the analog stick, and then I see a little circle that's like on the object, and then if I hold my trigger and pull the analog stick back, it pulls it toward me, and that's how that works. And yeah, I mean, no issues with controls. Immersion, that's I think where this game stands out. That there's so many things that you can interact with. Like anything you see, you can pick up. You can do something with it. You see a cigar, you can pick it up and put it in your mouth. You have a lighter, oh, you can light it. You can light the cigar. You see some dynamite over there. Oh, you can shoot that with the gun that's on your counter and it'll explode. You can shoot whatever. You have a knife. Oh, you can probably cut stuff with that. I mean, there's just so much you can do, and it's first person, so that's also immersive. Last ability, this game, there are achievements like built into the game. Like aside from just Steam achievements, like after you beat a level, it shows you if you achieved any of these achievements. Like some will be like speed, some will be like you did it without messing up something, or you set money on fire, during the level, things like that. So if you want to try to get those, that adds some last ability. And then, like I said, they added 3 free levels to it, so that's cool. For me, I know this is going to be very different than you, but for me, I'm gonna say 9.
Oh
And
my
I know
God.
I know it's going to be a huge difference. Don't let me,
Dude, you're in
you
good
know,
company though. I think, based on the ratings online, I'm gonna be the anomaly. I'm gonna be
yeah,
the weird outlier here. And to me this is a 5.5.
5.
Like I think it has a lot of charm to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the personality, I like the charm, but there isn't real story. There's kind of scenarios that it puts you in and that's it. But I just don't find the puzzles fun.
Okay, yeah.
I find them frustrating. I find it frustrating to go back and do things and loop over and over again. And there's
Mm-hmm.
so many personalities out there that do like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this podcast and you're kind of nodding your head when I'm making these complaints, then this game is not for you in the least. Again, I can tolerate puzzles in the grand scheme of a really good game and stuff like that, where you're rewarded with something, but there's just no reward other than the finally, after banging your head and trial and error, getting through it. I think the reward is you get to shut the game off.
Yeah, if you're not a masochist and if you're not really persistent, don't buy this game.
It's a good quality
I
though.
am those,
People,
yeah.
well, yeah, well, again, people love this game. They made it on every platform. They're making a second one. Yeah, I think it's got charm. It looks good. It's got charm, like you said. You can interact with the objects. I think all your points are very well. And if you like puzzles, there you go. But
One more thing. Don't buy it at full price though. $24.99. I think that's expensive.
That's super expensive.
Yeah, and it goes on sale. Yeah, I say wait for a sale.
Well, let me just add this to the mix too. I can't remember if we ever reviewed Fisherman's Tale, or if I did. But
That game's awesome.
yes, that game might be like maybe we'll review it next time or something. I feel like I'm spoiling it for now, but that's like dude, if you want a puzzle game, that's a game. I thought it had so much charm. I thought the puzzles were creative. I felt like the progress was all tied into one large puzzle. I thought it was great. Like I really enjoyed that. You know, the puzzles, sometimes you get stumped on it, but you're not stumped for too long and you're not doing the same thing over. I don't know. Like, so it's not that I hate puzzle games, period. I'm going to give it a low review. Like that game was fun for me. That game was enjoyable. This game is not.
Okay.
So
my only issue with Fisherman's Tale was it was too short.
Yeah.
This game would take you longer, but that's because you're gonna die a million times.
I think I had 2 hours playtime on Fisherman's Tale, and your mileage may vary. So
yeah, this game you're not gonna beat this in 2 hours. No way.
Yeah.
But you're gonna suffer probably.
You're gonna suffer. That's right.
Yeah.
And the game lets you know in their title. I expect you to die. I expect you to suffer. Might be better.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, that's a lot of reviews. We reviewed 4 games. Had some good discussions. It's been another nice month connecting with you and talking to VR. What are you looking forward to the next couple months? I want to ask you that before we wrap this up. Anything on the horizon?
Man, I can't even think of anything coming out anytime soon. I don't think there is anything that I'm looking forward to, unfortunately.
Dude, that's sad. That is, and you talked about this problem with VR being mainstream and the Quest, and you're right. There's not. We got a game problem. We have a legit game problem. I don't care about new hardware. I don't care. Why buy new hardware when we're not getting more? We need more games. I think we'll start seeing them because of the success of things like the Quest, but I also worry about people having their Quest get, dusty because they've run out of games to play. So we need games. We need more games. We need more games to review. We need more games to get excited about. There are games that can capture your attention for hundreds of hours. Population 1's a great game for that. You play poker forever. The Pavlov. We've talked about this before, but we need more. We need more. So I don't know, man. We need some good news coming out that there's a bunch of games set to be released.
A lot of times they just pop up out of nowhere, with very little warning, and then it's like, oh, it's coming out in like a week or two.
I'll take anything.
Yeah.
All right, guys and gals, thanks for joining us. This is fun. I really love talking VR, and I'm glad Justin's with me to do that as well and offer his perspective. So we will catch you all next month. Take care.